Good evening. The time is 6:33 p.m. The City of East Cleveland regular City Council meeting via Zoom is now called to order. The day is Tuesday, April 21st. The year is 2020. Dr. God, can you call the roll, please?
Okay, Counselor Austin,
Present.
Counselor Stevenson,
Present.
Counselor Gowdy. Gonna unmute, let's see, where is he at?
She's not with me today.
Counselor Gowdy and Counselor Martin.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we're doing the roll call.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I unmuted you, so just say present.
Okay.
Just present, say present.
I see Justin Anderson. I see you. You got a haircut, Justin?
Okay. Counselor Martin, Counselor Smith, you can go ahead. I think we have our Law Director Willa Hemmons present from the administration. That's it.
Items only. 2 minutes, please. Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone in these conditions for joining us. We really appreciate it. Next, remarks of the public on agenda items only, please. 2 minutes.
Dr. Guy, can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you. Can you see me?
Who am I speaking with?
Mayor King.
Oh, okay. I can hear you. I can't see you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, now I can see you in the conference room, Mayor.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry, Council President.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Seeing no remarks of the public, we move on to minutes to be approved. I hope all of you received your email. Dr. Guy, please.
We have the March 18th regular council and the April 7th regular council.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the March 18th regular council meeting minutes.
Go ahead. Was that Councilor Martin?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you unmuted because I don't think you know where to mute or unmute on your side.
Gotti can see it. I didn't read the minutes, so I'm going to abstain from the minutes. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
You hear that, Brandon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Need a motion for minutes. So you all got those last week.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for March 18th regular council.
Do we have a second?
Okay, no second. Okay, we have April 7th regular council.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the April 7th regular council meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
I didn't have a chance to read them.
Okay, no second. So we can move on. We can move those to the next meeting.
Yeah, we will move on. No problem. We understand this situation is going on. Thank you all. We will move the minutes to the next meeting. And we will table today's minutes until the next meeting. Next, we have reports and announcements from Mayor Brandon L. King. Mayor King.
Thank you, Council President. My report tonight is kind of long. I hope that you be a little courteous as I try to get through it as quickly as possible. So, we're all dealing with the pandemic. I hope everyone on the call and anyone listening who will see this are remaining safe and adhering to the protocol as set forth. Remember, If you have any of these symptoms, fever, tiredness, cough, muscle pain, shortness of breath, quarantine yourself. If it gets worse, then you want to seek medical care. I'd like to give you a couple quick updates. So City Hall is closed and it's very restricted getting in. The courts are still up and running, but City Hall itself, we're trying not to let anyone in City Hall, as this is the second week of the height of the pandemic. Next week, we will open City Hall on a very limited basis, as most of the employees will be returning to work, as many of them are working from home, or they're coming in for just a few hours a day just to get things done, because it's really impossible to shut a city all the way down. So again, the 2-week semi-shutdown is pretty much coming to an end this Friday, and next Monday we'll be back up limited. Many of you know the state of the city was postponed, and what we tried to do is a teletown hall. So last Thursday, we did have one at 6 p.m. It was well attended. I believe at one point we had over 800 people, and it kind of averaged out to about 400 people for the hour. I think it was like an hour and a half we were on. I'd like to once again thank, for joining me, our County Council Rep, Cheryl Stevens, who went over a number of things that she's worked on behalf of the city and currently working on for the residents of East Cleveland, including Lee Road, resurfacing. Superior's already done. They're supposed to start on, they're supposed to go live on the traffic control signals by the end of July. Mr. Travell Hart, we all know and love, he was also on the call as well. So I'd like to thank the two of them. The residents of the community really loved and appreciated the conversation. So I want to thank all of them for listening. We talked at length about my administration's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, one of which we're thanked at length, are the multiple food pantries and distributions we've done over the last 5 weeks in conjunction with the Salvation Army and the Cleveland Food Bank. Together, we fed over 600 people at this time. We've actually dropped off boxes of food. And for those of you who weren't in one of the first rounds, we are planning on doing another food distribution next Tuesday. So again, I'd appreciate those of you who volunteered, or those who want to volunteer, contact my office, or simply come on over to the MLK Tuesday around 11 o'clock. We should be getting up and running. Or call my office and we'll see about getting you on the list to get you a distribution. We've distributed well over 250 vote by mail applications. As you know, there will be no voting in person. So it's all vote by mail. We've been making runs back and forth to the County Board of Elections, dropping these off after I gave them to the residents. They filled them out, asked me to come get them. I picked them up, took them down there. Anyone else who has one or who wants one, please call 216-681-2211. The deadline to have the vote by mail in is this Friday. So please call my office if you need one. What else have we done? We've also provided relief to our local businesses. We've been fortunate enough to get a grad student from Carnegie Mellon by the name of Cameron Caputi, who is helping local businesses access some of the relief funds that are made available to small businesses to help them deal with the close of their businesses. Also, we have received some CDBG money, emergency relief monies, which we're still waiting on detailed information as to how to administer these funds. Again, the food pantry is next Tuesday. Light poles. So for those of you who have been fortunate enough to notice that you have new light poles up, particularly Roslyn, Rosemont, Howard. Those lights are up and running. I'm really excited about them because they're LED lights, and you'll notice them from the bright white light that they emit versus the yellow light from the ones that we currently have. Also, I'd like to mention, because of the challenges and the toughness we've had with CEI, look for new streetlights on Euclid Avenue from Page down past Shaw. They're going to be putting in LEDs there as well. Traffic control. Again, that's to go live at the end of July. I'd like to mention our summer services, which should be starting by the end of this month. Groundhogs, hot patching, street striping, grass cutting, and of course demolition. So those neighborhood groups who have worked diligently on getting those lists, we should be getting back to you and getting those lists started. Thank you. Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District is once again up and running and doing more work in the city. They will be opening past locations that they had, particularly the one on Savannah, the one on Woodworth, and the one on Coit, as they will be doing some more work tying feeders into those catch basins. For those of you who have noticed, thank you for calling. Those of you who haven't, please take a look. Be on the lookout for new street signs and new Welcome to East Cleveland signs. And yes, Garden and Graham, your signs are on order, as well as a number of streets. Please be patient as we get your signs in, get them up, and get your street lights up. We do have a list of places where the street lights are going. Also, I'd like to mention that Windspeed, former East Cleveland Cable, has sorted out their trials and tribulations, and speaking with the CEO last week, they are providing internet service at this time, and I am told it is pretty fast and comparable to what is available in East Cleveland. In fact, better than some of the other providers for internet. They're working on launching the video service here in the near future, so stay tuned for that. I'd also like to let residents know the importance of signing up for Ready Notify. To date, we've signed up over 1,000 residents here in the city. Again, that's part of the county system so that you can get ready notifications, emergency, weather, and whatnot from the county or from the city. I'd quickly like to thank Councilwoman, Council Vice President Corinne Stevens, who showed up at both of the feedings. I believe our president was there, and Tim Austin was there too. So again, thank Council. I look forward to seeing you all again this Tuesday, volunteering to feed our residents. There are no questions or concerns. Council President, that concludes my report. Thank you for allowing me to go a little over.
No problem. Thank you for that report, that very detailed report. Really appreciate it. I'm pretty sure the people really appreciate it as well. So thank you. Next, we have receipts of communication. Dr. Guy?
Yeah, so everyone received, all of council, I should say, received, and the mayor received a letter from my lawyer recently. And this was in response to false statements made in a local newspaper called Sunrise newspaper. It is being circulated currently by Councilwoman Juanita Gowdy and her constituents. I was, a matter of fact, on the front and back of the very first issue. And there were some statements made that were incorrect and also addressed me incorrectly as Clerk Guy. My name is Dr. Khadijah Guy. That's how I like to be addressed, and that's how everybody addresses me. There are also letters that were allegedly sent to important state officials indicating that I was one of the persons committing some crime, which is false. There were also public statements made that she feared for her life while in the office with me. That is false. What broke the camel's back is a friend of mine asked me about these things, and I felt at that point it was time for me to consult a lawyer. I've worked since the age of 14, been a supervisor by the time I was 18. I've been a director of programs for over 15, 20 years. Worked with, school districts, worked with city officials, worked with state officials, parents, students. I have never had anyone ever address me derogatorily as this. And I felt it was necessary, as I said, to consult a lawyer because I felt it was a defamation of my character, my work ethic. So going forward, I would appreciate if all the rhetoric and blatant lies, not only me, but, it's been some other, folks. I just wanted to cease and desist. That's what I've asked for, so that we can continue the business of the city. So that we don't have to, go any further with this because I find it really ridiculous. So that is it. You all have that letter, which, indicates a number of cases that Councilor Gowdy has on her. So, we're not going to go into that, but I just think it's unnecessary. I think that we can move forward as a council and not have to go through this nonsense, which I think is nonsense. So that is it. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Guy. Next, we move on to reports of council committees, contracts and property. Councilman Tim Austin.
Greetings, Brother President. Thank you very much for all you do and all you've done. I'm actually pulling up my notes. To make a long story short with contracts and property, we talked about some of the things we want to try to fix in the future. And that is having a little bit more information about the contracts that are being let or given or advised for certain folks that have been getting contracts in the city. We want to make sure that those contracts are provided to the council in a way that we can actually review and or approve the contracts prior to being notified that a contract has already been let, issued, or given to an individual or a company. To establish a process by which in the future we can at least advise, have the information that we need as a council to do the right thing on behalf of the people that we were elected to represent. We also talked about some properties that are to rehab and or some issues that need to be taken care of. There was one piece of legislation that came across, and it was subject to more discussion. So I guess I'll have to provide that at another time. My paperwork is not in my vehicle with me right now. But to make a long story short, we are focused on getting the things that we need to have taken care of on behalf of the people taken care of. And we also had a long pole in the tent with the finance director, if you will, asking him to provide a list of the contracts that had already been let, making sure that the level of approval was responded to adequately. So there's no misunderstanding in the future. Not necessarily an issue or concern for any legal action or anything like that. Just can be more informed on what we're to do as a committee for the Contracts and Property Committee. So more to follow, Brother President. I owe you a greater report. So when I get back to my vehicle, hopefully I'll be able to provide you the information before the end of this meeting. Thank you very much. That's all I have for Contracts and Property.
Thank you very much, Councilman Austin. I appreciate you. The next Contracts and Property meeting will be, correct me if I'm wrong, May 7th at 6:30. Thursday, May 7th at 6:30. Health and Safety Committee has been postponed. Councilman Martin. Councilman Nathaniel Martin.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Health and safety is postponed until this COVID situation till we reach some type of clarity on it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee will meet, next meeting will be Tuesday, May 12th at 6:30. At our last Finance Committee meeting on April 14th, we discussed the fact that there's no real changes. It's still the beginning of the year, but changes will occur due to the COVID-19 situation. We discussed our year-to-date finances. We discussed the great fact that we saved over $100,000 this winter. We discussed grants that need reimbursing, and we discussed Councilman Austin is not the only one without his notes in front of him. We also discussed, something else. The Fiscal Commission want us, was it the Fiscal Commission? Want us to update our books to reflect, in the past, we were able to update our books with the reimbursement. We knew the reimbursements were coming. They want us to update all our line items before we obtain our reimbursements. So they want us to make a change on that. And unfortunately, that's all I can remember right now. We had a nice Finance Committee meeting, but that was basically the nuts and bolts of it. So again, please join us at 6:30 Tuesday, May 12th for the next Finance Committee meeting. General Services, Council Vice President Corinne Stevenson.
Good evening. General Services Committee meetings are suspended until we get past the COVID-19 process.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice President. Personnel and Appointments, Councilwoman Gowdy.
Yes, personnel and appointments is canceled until we get past this COVID virus. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. We do understand. Next, we have proclamations. Dr. Guy.
Hi, yes, okay, so we have 2 proclamations. I left on the reception desk area. I'm gonna pull them up. So I don't know if anyone wants to read it into the record.
I do. I would like to have the pleasure of reading both of them, if you all bear with me.
Okay, I'll pull up the first one here.
Can you all see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay.
We can't see
It looks off on here, but it's very nicely done on the, so this is my mom, Helen Hubbard, Minister Helen Hubbard. Okay, and we'll start here.
Okay. The City Council, City of East Cleveland, proclamation. Minister Helen Hubbard was born December 27th, 1939 to sharecropper parents Elisha Jones and Velma Willis Jones in Pickens, Arkansas, near Winchester in Desha County. And Minister Helen Hubbard is the firstborn with 3 brothers whom she cared for and loved dearly. Lee Amos Jones, deceased, Warren Herschel Jones, Jocelyn, and Joseph Elisha Jones, Erlene. And her family moved to Cleveland, Ohio in 1946 during the Great Northern Migration, Black Migration. In 1958, Minister Helen Hubbard graduated from East Technical High School and attended nursing school briefly. She later met and married Reuben David Hubbard, Tariq Salim Zaid, and started a family of her own.
Who's she talking about?
In 1979, she moved to East Cleveland to raise her 5 children.
Who's mother?
Dr.
Minister Helen Hubbard worked for several prestigious companies as an executive assistant and other administrative capacities at Union Commerce Bank, TRW corporate offices, Order and Hatton Law Firm, and Murtis Taylor. She retired early to care for her sick parents until their passing between 2004 to 2005. Minister Helen Hubbard was dedicated to her family, Christian beliefs, called to service, education, and community. Her early beginnings were at Palestine Baptist Church, founded by her grandfather, Pastor Amos Willis, in Arkansas, and later at Pentecostal Church of Christ, Rehoboth Outreach Church, and Cathedral Worship Center. She graduated from Cleveland State University with a Bachelor of Art and Science, and from Ashland Theological Seminary with her Master of Arts in Master of Arts in Pastoral Counseling. She started the Allegheny Street Club in East Cleveland and was the first and only president for a number of years. And Minister Helen Hubbard leaves behind her 5 children, Dr. Nigel A. Zayat and Patricia, Dr. Khadijah F. Guy, Darcel Sparkle, Vita A. Saeed, Makita S. Movet, Al Rick, Reuben David A. Hubbard, and Felicia, and 15 grandchildren and 14 great-grandchildren. She also leaves a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, family, and friends. She will truly be missed, but now can rest peacefully in heaven. Therefore, on behalf of City Council and Mayor Brandon L. King, we acknowledge the life of Minister Helen Hubbard and hereby express our deepest condolences to the family and friends on her passing on March 22nd, 2020. Minister Helen Hubbard.
Thank you.
Next we have, thank you, Mother Maisie Russell. From the office of the City Council, City of East Cleveland. Proclamation. Whereas Mother Maisie Russell was born on October 1st, 1910, in a small farming community of in a small farming community of Kansas, Arkansas, as the 7th of 11 children born to Fannie and Wesley Phillips. And whereas Mother Maisie Russell spent her later years celebrating her birthdays with 6 generations of family and friends at Fairfax Place Nursing Home, located at 9014 Cedar Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. She was 109 years old. Whereas Mother Maisie Russell married the love of her life, Roland Russell, Daddy Roland, enjoying 17 years together. They have 3 daughters, Gladys M. Walcott, Jeanette, deceased, and Sambonita Best. 15 grandchildren, 29 great-grandchildren, 24 great-great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-great-grandchildren. Whereas Mother Maisie Russell, Nana, is a charter member of Mount Olivet Church of God in Christ since 1945, where she served the Lord faithfully throughout her life. She has been active in many capacities in the church, including a Sunday school teacher, prayer and Bible study band, YPPWW, choir, evangelist, and appointment as district missionary of Mount Zion Holiness until her health declined. And whereas Mother Maisie Russell enjoyed traveling with family and church conventions, sewing and making quilts, cooking, and fishing with her husband, Daddy Roland. Now she takes enjoyment in reading, sharing stories, watching the news, eating her favorite foods, chicken wings and chocolate, and drinking her Pepsi Cola drink. Whereas Mother Maisie Russell favorite expression is, I have no pain, I just cannot walk. The Lord has been good to me. Now therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of Mayor Brandon L. King and the entire city of East Cleveland Council, we celebrate the long life of Mother Maisie Russell and honor her on her passing March 26, 2020. Mother Maisie Russell. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all. Next, we move
That
on
was
to bids.
you all received information in your mailboxes about the 2 bids for the salt. I think we're going to talk about that. Oh, this is the wrong. Council, this is the wrong agenda. I'm gonna pull up the other one while we're talking, but so you all received that in your mailboxes.
Okay.
It's the only thing. So I don't know if you had a chance to review those.
Thank you, Dr. Guy. Next, we have legislation. Dr. Guy, please, when you get a chance.
Okay, so first one is ordinance 07-20, second read, an ordinance enacting uncodified regulations with respect to public hearings in order to respond to COVID-19 coronavirus. Sponsored by Council President, sponsored by, this should be Korean Stevens. So I'm gonna pull up the other, this is the wrong one. Agenda.
Okay, in the meantime, I pass the gavel to Council Vice President Korean Stevenson.
Counselor Smith, you sponsored this legislation. How would you like to proceed? Did you hear me?
No, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Sid, you're sponsoring this legislation. How do you want to proceed?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 07-20.
Dr. Guy, can you?
Can everybody hear me? I'd like to adopt ordinance number 07-20 and I'd like to make a motion.
Is that Councilor Smith?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me ask the question, was Stevenson sponsoring or are you sponsoring?
He's sponsoring.
Are you sponsoring? You were
I
sponsoring?
was sponsoring that
Yes,
legislation.
Vice President can sponsor, she can pass me back together.
Yeah.
I sponsored the legislation for. Johnson sponsored legislation in the last meeting.
Yes.
That was the old, and then you as well, Austin, Councilor Austin?
Yeah, I sponsored it last week or our last meeting. Because he was a person earmarked as the
Okay, I have a second. Is there a motion on the floor?
second.
I couldn't hear. Is there a motion on the floor?
Do we have a Councilman Austin, what is your pleasure?
Kind of going in and out.
Yeah, the connection's bad today.
Dr. Guy,
Yeah, Councilor Martin.
what is the intent of this legislation? I'm reading it. What are we attempting to do with this?
We can continue to have the Zoom meetings.
This is to allow us to continue with the Zoom meetings, teleconferences because of the Corona-19.
I have a suggestion. Is connected to this legislation, though. I'm looking at Brandon King in the conference room. I can see Corrine Stevenson. I can see Ernest. I don't see Tim or myself.
You have to cut on
or Gowdy's in the office with me here in the city council office.
Yeah, you
And
have to,
my suggestion, can you hear me?
yeah, you have to cut on the video on your end.
The video,
Yeah,
wait a minute.
it should be on the bottom or somewhere
In the bottom left-hand corner.
Bottom, wait a minute. Bottom left-hand corner,
yeah.
I see mute.
You see
It says start, hit where it says start video.
Yes,
All right,
there you are.
all right. For now, I can live with this, but I have a suggestion. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My suggestion is at the next meeting is only 5 of us and the mayor makes 6 and Dr. Guy makes 7. We actually could spread out in the courtroom and have the meeting. We'll be 6 feet from each other. One can be in one corner, one can be in the other corner, one can be in the jury box. You will be in the back. We can do it that way. How do you see that?
I'm here also.
Who?
Do you hear me? Willa?
Yeah, and we got enough room where we can have we can spread out in the courtroom, no public, and have the meetings. It's much better than this. Okay, now that's a suggestion. What I'm suggesting, Ernest Smith, Corrine Stevenson, Tim Austin, that we can have the meetings in the courtroom if we spread out 6 feet. We got enough room in that courtroom. No public, just us.
We
You
can't be here.
understand? It's much better. What do you think about that?
Can everyone
May
hear me? Can
May
everyone
I?
hear me? Can
Yes,
everyone hear me?
yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So this Zoom was to accommodate Councilman Martin, Councilwoman Stevenson, and Councilwoman Gowdy, with all due respect, because you all didn't want to come in, and I understand that because you all are our great elders. So if you want to come in, it's up to y'all. It's up
Yeah,
to
I
you.
never said I didn't want to come in. Excuse me. I ain't never said that I want to come in. I always volunteered to come in, especially the council meeting, you know, because it's necessary for us to come in.
You just canceled all of your meetings. It's on the
I
record.
had to because I really want the public, to,
Yes, can you,
I really want,
hold on. What?
Councilman Martin, would you like to come in? And whoever don't want to come in can stay. It's up to you all.
What I would like to do, Council President Ernest Smith, is the logistics of the courtroom allow us to come in and can be 6 feet from each other. And that would be better when I can see Corrine Stevenson, and I can see Ernest Smith, and see everybody. I'm willing to take that risk. If we're 6 feet apart, we can do that. If this courtroom is big enough for 7 people, and the mayor, and the public, we just have to buy the public from it. We're doing it anyway. The public, the only public person that's listening to this is Justin Anderson.
But you can't bar us.
Right, you can't bar,
we're not gonna
that's
bar
illegal. Justin is right. You can't bar
to
the
come in.
public.
It's a suggestion. I just feel all of you that it's a better situation where we can see each other, period, and we can follow this what Mike DeWine is telling us to be 6 feet apart.
Well,
And that's it.
may I?
Yes?
President?
Yes,
May I
Madam
be
Law Director.
recognized? House
Yes.
Bill 557 has allowed for teleconferencing as long as the public has the right to see and participate in meetings. And you cannot bar the public. It's illegal. One of the tenets, provisions, or the mandates of House Bill 557 that was passed in March by the Ohio General Assembly required that the public have access. Whatever forum that you guys select, the public must have access.
Well, he was not really saying that. He was just saying they can do Zoom while we is in council. They can Zoom in. That's why he was speaking the way he was.
Councilwoman Stevenson, can I have your input, please?
I'm not coming. I'm not coming. Look, man, I'm 66 years old. I'm not about to come. I'm not running around out here with that. I can't do that.
Those who want to come, it's easy because the first
That's
meeting,
right.
the first meeting I was in the mayor's office, and just like now you two are at City Hall, whoever want to come to City Hall, that's perfect with me.
Okay.
I
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
Okay.
I understand everyone, just like, okay, I'm going to leave Councilwoman Gowdy out of it. Just like at the beginning, I'm just going to say Councilman Martin didn't want to come. I respected that. I over and understood that position, and I didn't argue with that position. If Councilman Martin wants to come in, that's great with me. I will see him in person, and we can still do the Zoom. I'm pretty sure Dr. Guy doesn't want to come in, and I understand that. We can still do the Zoom, and whoever want to meet up in person, we can meet up in person and stay 6 feet away from, over 6 feet away from each other. No problem.
I can live with that. If I come and Gowdy come, the mayor, whatever, we can be 20 feet from each other. Okay? And still do the Zoom. We can still do the Zoom.
Counselor. So
I see the mayor. The mayor wants to say something. He's raising his hand.
I say something? My reasons for not coming, because I had a couple of close family members that had the virus, and too close to home for me. So
Yes, ma'am, no problem. We understand.
Right. You don't have to, nobody has to come that don't want to come.
Right.
But I feel more comfortable, and I'm not knocking anything that's been said, Ernest, that you said, to see people, to be, some proximity to them. This like, on this vehicle that we use, it's okay, but sometimes I can hear, sometimes I can't. whatever. It's in and out. It's not. It's sufficient, but it's just not the best thing. I've been to other conferences, and it's much better. So that's where I'm at with that.
Can I make another suggestion?
Yeah.
This is just one platform, so I mean, it's up to. I know Charles was maybe looking at another platform that I know this one was having some issues with a number of clerks I've been in communication with. They're using Zoom, but they're also looking at WebEx. So that's something else we can do. Look at another platform that has a little bit more better, you know, technical credentials. I don't know, but that.
Well, and let me add, we are technically, and I don't know, I'm not blaming anyone. We are currently excluding the public because they don't have a clue about most of this stuff, or they don't have the technology to pull it off. The only public person listening to this council meeting right now that I can see is Justin Anderson because he has an interest. Oh, where's O'Mays? You know, the ones who've been coming for years. Okay, so I want to be cooperative, but I like to see Ernest. I like to see Brandon King. I like to see Willie Hemmings. I like to see Corrine Stevenson. So, but that's their prerogative. Okay?
No problem. So now I would like to entertain a motion for ordinance number 07-20.
Council President, I'd like to make a motion to, I'm sponsoring also to approve the, hold on, I'd like to sponsor 07-20, move for its adoption.
Thank you, Councilman Austin. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Dr. Guy?
Hey, Counselor Austin,
Yay.
Counselor Stevenson,
Yay.
Counselor Martin,
Nay.
Counselor Gowdy,
Nay.
Counselor Smith.
Yay.
You three again.
Ordinance 0.
Okay.
You three.
What happened?
Yeah, you three. You're gonna get it.
Move on, Dr. Guy.
You all approved. Ordinance number 10-20, second read. An ordinance requiring store owners and operators in the city of East Cleveland must limit customers to 5 persons at a time during the COVID-19 pandemic, and imposing a $1,000 fine for non-compliance for the health and safety of the people. Requested by City Council President Ernest Smith, sponsored by Corine Stevenson, Council Vice President.
Ordinance number 10-20 bears the name of Councilwoman Vice President Corine Stevenson. What is your pleasure?
I would like to sponsor this legislation and move for its adoption.
We have a second. Do we have a second?
Council, this is the one with about the liquor stores.
Yes.
So no second. Legislation dies on the floor.
There's some politicking going on.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about, can we have a second? Can we have some discussion right now?
It only affect the people, not me.
Hey, can we have a,
Councilman Austin was trying to speak.
Oh, okay. So do we retract that and Austin speaks before?
yeah, can we have a little discussion?
It's over. You can't discuss now. It's over with.
No, we can discuss it.
You sure?
Positive.
Right. I remember we talked about having the number of personnel be commensurate with the space available in the stores. I know we went to the liquor store and they were able to accommodate based on the space that they had. more than 5. And I thought we were going to go back and look at that and make sure that the legislation reflected the capacity being a factor in how many persons could be in the store.
I was going to ask for a motion to amend it from 5 to 10 people.
Okay, there you go. Now that's what and that would be
right. And then with our discussion, I was going to repeat everything that we discussed last week about the great measurements that you took and all that. I would just wait for a second, but I should have asked for the amendment first. I was supposed to ask for the amendment first. So
yeah. So
if you all would be patient with me, I would like to ask for amendment to ordinance number 10-20 from 5 to 10 people.
Okay. I would like, if at all possible, I would like to. What's that ordinance number again? I have the camera.
Ordinance number 10-20.
10-20. Okay. I would like to make a motion to amend ordinance number 10-20 to reflect 10 people per store versus the 5 people based on the square footage of the store in which they are occupying or intended to patronize.
Thank you, Councilman. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Dr. Guy, please.
Okay, Councilor Austin,
Yes. Yay.
Councilor Martin,
Nay.
Councilor Gowdy,
Nay.
Councilor Stevenson,
Yay.
and Councilor Smith.
Yay.
Okay, our ordinance 10-20 is passed as amended to reflect 10 persons at a time in the stores.
Yes. Now, thank you all. And let me just say this. We have no large Walmart type of store. Our main concern the other day, I'm gonna say our, because everyone agreed with me the other day, was stores like the liquor store letting in a bunch of people during this process without caring about the health, interest, rights, and needs of the people. 5 people might have been a little extreme, so Councilman Austin called me and we went down and we did a little viewing and a little measuring. On the floor, it said that the tape was 6 feet. Councilman Austin measured and it was 3 feet. Measuring the aisles, without the aisles, the 6 feet per people would have allowed them 70 people. But with the aisleways and the measurements, it would have allowed them 20 to 22 people. Councilman Austin and myself talked to the owner, and guess what? Lo and behold, he agrees with us. His rule was 10 people. He got on his workers. He was very upset that the tape on the floor was misleading, and he apologized to the city council office, the mayor's office, and more importantly, the people of East Cleveland. The day after that, it was still crowded, and I want to thank Justin Anderson for calling me and advising me about the crowd that was in the liquor store. I again called the owner, and the owner got very, very upset at his staff. He called his staff. I doubled back to take a look, and security was at the door, letting in people one at a time. There were no more than 10 people in the store. So for any concerns about businesses, I can only speak for myself. My main concern is the people, not the businesses and the money. The majority of the businesses that I have been fortunate enough to converse with, they agree with myself and whoever feels like.
That's what I got a problem with.
Dr. Guy, can you please mute them?
Okay, go ahead.
the store owners, the majority that I have conversed with, the ones that care, they agree with me. I always use the dollar store on the corner of my street for an example. Way before this legislation was even thought of, they were minimizing their store. They have a sign in the store, 10 to 20 people. The social distancing, everything is it look like it's very correct in there, from the 6 feet to the social distancing in there. Take an example. I know it's not East Cleveland, but Walmart up at in Cleveland Heights, big huge store like Walmart, they are doing social distancing. They are letting in a few at a time. You have to wait outside. They have the carts lined up, and you have to be 2 cars apart. If they can do it in a big establishment like that, we can too. So I just hope and pray that I thank you for passing it on the council end. I hope and pray that everything goes through on the administration end. And of course, I want to thank again Councilwoman Gowdy. It's seeing like they have a little change of heart tonight, and that's all fine. But I want to thank Councilwoman Gowdy for reminding us that we have to let these businesses know that we just passed this law and give them an opportunity to fix anything that's wrong, whether it's from, and I want to thank Council Vice President for this, whether it's for sanitary reasons that need fixing, or whether just the fact, as Councilwoman Gowdy stated at the last meeting, the fact that they need to know, in all fairness, that it's a chance that they could be ticketed a $1,000 fine for not taking care of their establishment. It needs to be wiped down. It needs to be clean. It needs to be sanitized. Workers need to have on the mask and the glove, the right equipment to serve the people. They are fortunate enough to stay open. There are a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, taking a great hit. And for any business that's fortunate enough to stay open in general and stay open in specific in our community, needs to treat our people right, needs to be clean and needs to be sanitized. And at the same time, we also need to let them know about this new change of rule. Thank you to my colleagues. We move on. Dr. Guy, please.
Okay, we are at resolution number 10-20, second read, a resolution agreeing to participate in the Ohio Department of Transportation ODOT annual winter salt bid for the 2020 through 2021 year in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5513.01B, and hereby agrees to all of the following terms and conditions in its participation of the ODOT winter salt contract, requested by Mayor Brandon L. King, sponsored by Ernest L. Smith, Council President, Corinne C. Stevenson, Council Vice President, and Timothy R. Austin, Councilor at Large.
Council Vice President Corinne Stevenson, this bears your name. What is your pleasure?
Council President, I'd like to sponsor this legislation and move for its adoption.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Thank you, Dr. Guy.
Councilor Austin,
Yay.
Councilor Martin,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Why come I tried to get in on the other conversation and you keep muting me out?
Can you see the mute and unmute on your?
I see the little red thing on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to talk about that last legislation. I kept saying, can you hear me? And I can hear everybody, but I can't get through.
So, Councilor, when Councilor Smith was talking, you guys were talking. So I muted you on this end, but you can unmute yourself on your end.
How?
That red button.
So,
Go ahead.
okay, so you're unmuted.
Now?
Yeah.
Were you muting me?
I muted you because you were speaking over Council Smith when he was talking.
And then you left me on mute?
He asked me to mute you.
That ain't right. That ain't fair. That gives you power. That's a power thing.
Yeah, that's a power stuff.
No, when you were talking.
I'm trying to get in on this last legislation, and and you can't hear me. What's that all about?
You know how to unmute yourself on that end?
I was trying to respond to the
We had already voted. We had already voted.
Gowdy, please.
You didn't vote. That's why I was trying to get in there. You did not vote. You voted on the amendment, not on the motion. So it's not even passed. I was trying to get in on that. But this muting me is not going to work. You know, if I can't be heard, I don't need to be here. I mean that. If I can't be heard, I don't need to be here. You're going to mute me. I don't like that.
When I was talking, Councilman Martin, we couldn't hear. Let me just say that you are correct. Now that I think about it, let me say you are correct. We have to go back. We did not vote on order number 1020.
You certainly did. And
I just said, listen. I just said that we didn't. I just said you are correct. Now that I think about it, we only voted on the amendment. Listen, you all only was muted because when I was trying to read something, we couldn't hear. So now we're going to go back and vote on order number 1020.
We voted on the legislation as amended. So that's the vote.
Okay.
No, after you amend it, then you have to go and vote on the main motion. You have to vote on the main motion. Amendment is an addition to it. Then you have to vote on the main motion as amended. I know this stuff.
No problem. No problem. Dr. Guy, can you go back and read it again, please?
Well, I need to, and I didn't get to have discussion on it because I think the $1,000 is too excessive. I think it's too excessive. That's common sense. That's too much.
Our lives are on the line.
What?
Our very lives are on the line, Councilman.
Yeah, but it's $1,000 is too expensive, y'all. Y'all just gonna run the business.
What would you say? What would you say?
Because I did not mind for us to have 10 people. So this is why I wanted to discuss this. Because I did ask for people to be held accountable, but not no money. Like we give them a warning. And then if they don't do the warning, then we'll deal with them on another level. But right now, money, is this about money, y'all?
They're millionaires.
I don't care if they trillionaires, but it's about people's lives. This is why I said that, because people's lives is important, and you can't bring a person back, and I do know that. But I am saying to the public that it's not about money, it's about the safety of the people. And that's why I asked for this to be passed for the safety.
What would you say be the punishment?
The punishment is a warning. You ain't even warn them yet. We ain't even get a letter out. We didn't even send a letter out and let them know. We gotta warn them first before we punish them.
To anything that we said.
It's so sad. I mean, you got a big head. You really do. To be a council person, your head is so big that can't nobody tell you anything. It's on y'all three anyway. It's y'all three.
Y'all three running the whole thing.
Y'all three got
y'all running it. We don't need to be here.
I'm professional, Gowdy.
Point of order.
It's about y'all three.
Dr. Guy.
It's about y'all three.
Point of order.
Dr. Guy, Councilman Gowdy is not recognized at the moment. Councilman Martin is.
Okay, I muted them at the moment. Did you want me to mute them, or?
You can unmute him. Councilman Martin is recognized. Councilman Gowdy is not.
Okay.
Because I told you the truth.
Councilman Martin.
Professional, Gowdy.
Can you hear me?
Because I told you the truth.
Councilman Martin.
Dr. Guy, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Counselor.
Hello? Can you hear me or am I muted?
No.
Hello?
You're not muted. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Now, you talked about cleaning and some of the things that are vitally important. Is that in the legislation? Cleaning?
Yes.
Is in there?
Yes.
Okay, so when somebody goes in the store to buy liquor, what are you requiring that the owner do? Explain that to me so I understand it. I'm asking that fairly. I'm trying to get an understanding because I'm looking at
Councilman Martin, the legislation is 4 pages long, okay?
Okay.
I'll give you an overview of what it encompasses.
Thank you.
It speaks to the business owners in the area, in East Cleveland, and it addresses the things. There's 12 things that they are required to do. And some of those things, the activities go up if they're a 24-hour business. This legislation also addresses apartment complexes in the city of East Cleveland, wherein they have to inform the occupants, and they also have a responsibility. There is a total of 6 segments that they have that the complex owners have to go through in order for the people in these buildings to be safe. They have to notify people, and they have to provide a stringent cleaning process throughout the building on an ongoing basis. It also addresses the deal that the situation with the residential waste collection of bulk items, because during this process and during this COVID, Rumpke is not picking up bulk items. So those are the things that are entailed in these 4 pages. And the details, I'm sure, as a matter of fact, the document was sent to us via email last week.
Everything sounds okay. Dr. Guy, I always ask you to give me a hard copy, and I always ask you to give me a call. So I want to do what's in the interest of our people. That's why we're here. Okay, that's why we're here. I don't know how we reached $1,000 fine, but even that is not that important, because I think the key thing in all of this, Kareem Stevenson, Tim Alston, and Ernest Smith, is enforcement. And I don't want our police bogged down enforcing something that would be having them running all around, period. I think when Ernest Smith and Alston made contact with the Nemo guy down there, whoever runs that place, and they said they would step up and do what they're going to do, that's fine. Our police would be challenged enforcing it. Someone got shot 3 or 4 days at the Sunoco at Shell at Shaw in Euclid. So those are things that are important for our police. I don't want our police being overwhelmed with these kind of things. The store owner, we all can step up and check on the store and that kind of thing. The other thing, while we're talking about this, and I hope you guys are listening, we're going to have to do furloughs eventually, and that's on the mayor, okay? I have people, Kareem Stevenson, you worked at the county with me, and they're being furloughed now. I don't know what we're waiting on, because the majority of our employees are police and fire. And something's going to have to be done in that area. That's another important thing, because the revenue that we're losing is not going to be there. The projections that we have are going to have to be changed because people are not working. So I need to put that in there. So if we go with $1,000 and we go with 10 people, are we expecting our police to enforce that with these stores around here or what?
Can I respond to that?
Yes, but please
Can I respond to that, Mr. President?
Go ahead. Yes, please, because I also have a response, because we're not talking about jaywalking. We talking about people's lives. But go ahead.
Mr. Martin and
That's true.
and everyone. This is not the first round of this. in my business, in my area. On March 31st, all of 22 businesses that were still open were sent a letter, and they were given 12, the same 12 things that are outlined in this legislation. They were told that they had to do immediately. Okay, and that came out as a result of some business going on with black on black crime. Since that letter went out on March 31st, I've been in the stores, and others have been in the stores in Ward 4. And what you see in Ward 4 is people wearing their masks and wearing gloves when they're serving the public. Now, I've been in stores and they weren't dressed appropriately. But when I asked them, where's your gear? Where's your mask? Where are your gloves? They immediately retreat to get those items and wear them. So it's not like we're having a hard time or that we're hard pressed for it, pretty much, because it's already been rolled out in Ward 4. The issue now is to roll it out in the rest of the city and try to also cover these apartment complexes because they're vast in our community.
Well, how do you, Corrine, how do you get in contact with the apartment owners, like the one down there, Superior and Euclid, that we have been hearing complaints for years, and some of the other apartment complexes? Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm asking the question, how do you get to these owners?
Well, I spend a lot of time running people down. I do what I have to do. So if it means that I have to go to my place at the county to find out who owns the building and run them down that way, then that's what I do. But I do whatever I have to do to get to them, to make sure I go into the buildings myself. I speak with the manager that's on site, come up with another strategy. I just keep going until I get to them.
And I had made an appointment with mine.
Okay, go ahead, Ernest.
Thank you. These are my final comments. Then we're gonna move to a vote.
All right.
There have been community organizations. They have been elected officials, including Council Vice President and Councilwoman Gowdy. There have been concerned citizens. This is not about some little small law that been on the books that we know that we can do without, like jaywalking or spitting on the ground or something that when a law enforcement officer wants to do the wrong thing or something, when he want to pick on somebody that they break out one of those laws that's barely used. This is something real serious. People are dying, losing their lives. The COVID-19 virus is in East Cleveland. One of my classmates who reside in East Cleveland, class of 93, is in quarantine right now. This is very serious. Last week we was on the same page. I don't like all this politicking. I don't, and the people don't like it. Period. This is about saving lives. This is about saving lives. I'm gonna keep repeating it again. This is about saving lives. It's not about money. Come on now. Listen, the $1,000 fine is because we have to have some accountability. We have to have them, because if we don't have some type of accountability, all they gotta do is wave their hand at us. They won't care. Councilwoman Gowdy, you brought up a great point last week. I don't know why you acting like you forgot today, and that was letting the businesses know and understand that there is a new law in place. We said it last week. Everybody knows I am not for just running up in these businesses or the people, giving them tickets, trying to put them in jail just like that. Or, I mean, not really. We have to do what we have to do. I sat in front of that liquor store the other day, and it was terrible. People from all type of walks of life were at that liquor store, endangering our people. I'm not talking about a color. I'm talking about the people, the residents of East Cleveland. I was so appreciative when Justin Anderson called me the other day. So appreciative, because that means that, again, like we've been saying, the things that we agree on, we can work fully on. Not agree on them. I mean, we all have the right to change our mind. So, Councilwoman Gotti, if you change your mind today, God bless you, no problem. But this is not about a money grab. I doubt if anybody will get fined. It's already in motion. Councilwoman Stevenson been out there beating all these stores. I'm talking about even stores at Ward 3. She been beating them. They already know when she walk in. We're not asking for our officers to get took off of important missions. Anybody driving down Euclid can see all those cars in the parking lot. And as elected officials, what do? We do nothing. Because if I wasn't an elected official, I would be saying the same thing that my neighbors are saying. What are the council doing? What is the mayor doing? The mayor out there feeding people and doing what he's doing. And we as legislators, we have to do what we do on top of the feeding the people the extra thing. So if we as legislators going to sit back and do nothing, hey, more power to you. Dr. Guy, please, we are ready to, oh, and again, Councilman Martin, I do apologize as the quote-unquote president, even though Dr. Guy, she did say that we are going for the vote as amended. Councilman Martin, if you wanted to, you say that it wasn't done correctly, let's agree. Let's do it over. That was the vote for the amended legislation. Now let's move to vote yay or nay on the actual legislation. I thank you for being so observant, Councilman Martin, and observing that for us and bringing that to our attention. Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Guy, please, can you call for the vote on ordinance number 10-20?
You have a motion and second motion?
I second.
Can you restate the motion? Restate it. Can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Guy, can you read
She's
the
got
motion?
to restate the motion so we can hear it.
Yes, sir.
I got you. I got you.
Restate the.
I would like to make a motion to amend ordinance number.
Look, Councilman Austin, it's already amended.
It's already amended. Here's how it goes. You vote on ordinance 10, is it 10-20 as amended. That's how you state it. You vote on it as amended. Then that's the way it's stated.
We
got it.
that. We did that.
No, you did not.
Yes, we did,
Yes,
Counselor.
we did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did, Counselor. But we'll do it again.
All right.
Do it again if that's what. Council President, would you like us to do it again?
Which part?
As amended, ordinance 10-20, second read as amended. We changed the limit to customers from 5 to 10 customers.
We voted on that already.
Yeah.
Now we just need to vote on the actual legislation.
That's what I'm saying. And you vote on the actual legislation with the amendment. You vote on 10-20 as amended. And then the amendment is attached to the legislation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Counselor Austin.
You gonna vote for it? Yeah.
Counselor
Come
Austin.
on.
Is he sick? Can he hear me?
I can hear you.
I couldn't hear Counselor Austin. Counselor
I can hear
Stevenson.
you now.
Yay.
Counselor Martin.
Yay.
Counselor Gowdy.
Yay.
Counselor Smith.
Yay.
Okay, ordinance number 10-20 is passed.
It passed.
A minute.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all. Next, we move on to resolution number 10-20. Thank you all.
Resolution number 10-20, a resolution agreeing to participate in the Ohio Department of Transportation's ODOT annual winter salt bid for the 2020-2021 year in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5513.01B, and hereby agrees to all of the following terms and conditions in its participation of the ODOT winter road salt contract requested by Brandon L. King, Mayor, and sponsored by Ernest O. Smith, Council President, Korean C. Stevenson, Council Vice President, Timothy R. Austin, Councilor at Large.
Council Vice President Korea Stevenson, this bears your name. What is your pleasure?
I'd like to add my name to that list.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, and while I got the floor, I know we discussed it in contracts and property. We had a light winter this past winter, so we should have a whole lot of salt left over. And we add this, we should be good for this winter.
Yes,
Is Brandon King around? Can Brandon hear me? That's the guy?
He's, let's see, yeah.
I saw his face a minute ago.
Well, he's giving you the thumbs up, Mr. Martin.
Thumbs
Oh,
up.
I'm looking at it. I can't even see. I see Ernest with his
Now you
hand.
got 2 thumbs up, Mr.
You have to
Martin.
scroll down.
Okay. I still don't see him
You have to scroll down on your screen on the right at the bottom, the little arrow.
right here. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Here, wait a
Why you
minute.
doing that? Why you doing that, good Councilman? Council
Okay.
Vice President Korea Stevenson, what is your pleasure?
I sponsored this legislation and move for its adoption.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Councilman. Dr. Guy?
Councilor Austin? Thumbs up? Oh, there you go.
You
He's,
see?
I think he's, he's
Yeah, I see him now. Hello, Brandon King.
Councilor Stevenson,
Yay.
Councilor Martin,
Yay.
Councilor Gowdy,
Yay.
Councilor Smith.
Yay.
Okay, resolution 10-20 is passed.
Thank you very much. Remarks of the request of the public. Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I do have a few things that I want to talk about. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the first thing I want to talk about is you council people being professional. I'm going to give you a couple of lessons here. Hopefully some of you take heed to them. No talking over others while they're talking. No screaming at others. We need to be professional because people looking at this at home, and what I saw today, it looked like just a hot mess. It was a hot mess. I'm not gonna call any names, but some of you do not look professional at all. You look wild and crazy, and excuse me if that's an insult to you. So let me start with the Zoom meetings. So whoever voted no, if I am correct, I believe some people did, but whoever voted no on the Zoom meeting is basically saying we want to meet at City Hall and take the risk at catching the virus. That to me, that's what I feel like it's saying. That's the first thing. Number two, voting at first. Some of you voted no on the people in the stores. I read that ordinance, and something has to be done with it. I think it's just basically all it is adopting what the state has already said, but adding a fine. So I understand what Ernest was talking about, where if you just adopt what the state said, okay, if they say, okay, what if they don't follow the rule? I think you have to give them some punishment. Nate might have been right when he said, 1,000 is too steep. Maybe another price should have been, given. But I think something has to be done money-wise, because I don't see any other alternative as a punishment that will make these people say, you know what, we can't do that. Because if it's just something that's asking me to, or telling me, hey, don't do this with no punishment, then, who cares? That's how some people would look at it. So I'm glad that passed, and that virus is deadly and it's dangerous, so that needed to pass. I'm sorry, but it did. And next I want to talk about, I know Nate may be able to touch on the vacant property registration ordinance, about maybe he could talk a little bit during his time about that. We spoke the other day about getting that enforced, I think that can bring us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in very short months if we can enforce that. And then, like I said, that ordinance about the stores, that needs to be, I'm glad it passed, and it needs to be, those letters needs to go out like yesterday. They need to go out. So I hope that you all jump on that immediately. And remember, this virus is nothing to play with. It's extremely dangerous. I wouldn't want to be at City Hall, sitting in no courtroom watching you all. I don't want to be anywhere near you all, quite frankly. And and as far as enforcement with that ordinance in the stores, that we got officers like community officers. Maybe one of them can go and just periodically check in on the stores. It's really only like two that we really have that would have that problem with. That's the liquor store and the Shell. All the other gas stations and stores really don't get that much traffic. So I don't think it'll be hard to enforce, but you got to have some punishment for them. And that'll conclude my comments, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Remarks of the mayor, Mayor Brandon King.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Good meeting. Thank you, Council President. A couple remarks. I'd like to start off by commending Dr. Guy. At this point in our city, in the economy, with this pandemic, with what we've come through, given the last council class, there's really no place for defaming one's character, spreading false innuendos, fake news, outright lies. There's really no room for that. And I appreciate your stance on it, and we are making moves as well. So thank you for that. The second thing, in regards to the Finance Committee and the potential losses. So we are now in close communication with Rita and with the state and with the county to come up with a more defined guesstimate, if you will, on our potential losses. For those of you who have been following the pandemic and what the state and the county are estimating, upwards of 40% loss to revenue puts us anywhere between 400 and 800,000. So that's a big gap, and we don't really like to throw that out there. So what we're trying to do is get a better estimate as to what our potential loss would be here to our revenue, our general fund revenue for the city. So stay tuned for that. And again, it's 40% is what the state and the county are both guesstimating. So we just follow in line with their guesstimates. In regards to the Zoom meeting, I was trying to show earlier how we're equipping City Hall and some of the offices with the capabilities to do different things. So far as video, audio, and as you see, this camera can accommodate
Look at that.
more people in the room. I am in favor, and I do agree with you guys. I like in-person meetings. However, I would not open this room to the public at all, right?
Closer to the
Council room, the courtroom is actually closed off. And if it was council's prerogative to open it up to the general public, I would not attend the meeting, and I would suggest that you don't open it up, that you have a Zoom meeting, maybe one or two Zooms going on while you're meeting in there, so that if the public wants in, they can Zoom in, but they can't physically show in. They can't physically be present. The issue becomes sanitizing the room and the different surfaces, and then keeping them sanitized while you're there. So I wouldn't even fool with this thing. This thing's too dangerous. Finally, again, next Tuesday, we're doing another food pantry. For those of you who want to volunteer, please come down to the MLK between 10 and 11. We should have the shipment by then. It's scheduled to come around 9. We should be up and running maybe 10, 11 o'clock. So if you want to come, please do. For those of you who would like to receive food baskets, care packages, please call 681-2211 and get on that list. Also, and in closing, for those of you who would like to receive an absentee ballot, there's no voting at the polls. Please call my office. We will drop one off if need be. We will then pick it up and take it down to the Board of Elections on you, because as we all say as elected officials, every vote counts. Please vote. Council President, that concludes my report unless there's any questions or concerns.
Thank you very much, Brandon. Mayor Brandon L. King. Mr. Mayor, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next, we have responsive council. Councilman Nathaniel Martin.
Yeah, Brandon was right on point. That's why I said that we need to, if we did have meetings in the courtroom, close the public because of the safety issue. And he also touched on another thing I brought up, and that's the revenue that we're going to lose because of the pandemic. And that's going to be challenging. 40%, we don't really know, but we're not going to get what we're getting. And Rita doesn't always collect, I think, the revenue that should be collected from citizens. We got a lot of citizens that are not paying taxes, okay? So that is a tough decision that I don't envy Brandon's gonna have to make. We're gonna have to make some cuts somewhere if this thing continues and it hasn't even peaked yet. Another option that I would like to offer to my colleagues is Mike DeWine has been fantastic as a governor, and he's been on top of this. There's about $3 billion in rainy day money, Brandon and council members, that the state has. It has to come through the Ohio Senate and Ohio House. We may be able to get some of that money to help us. So that's going to be another suggestion that we look at trying to get some of this rain, because this is a rainy day situation, no doubt about it. Now, whether they're using it or not, I don't know. But that's another thing that I've thought about. I want to thank Corrine for her leadership on the going to these stores. That's a good thing. We have got to be united, Ernest, Tim, and all of that. This is a challenging time. I'm not getting out because my mother is 88 years old, and I can't take a chance of bringing something to her. I'll never be able to live with that. So I'm staying safe. So I'm flexible with the Zoom thing, but I just would think that if we did, my suggestion, have it in the courtroom with just the law director, the mayor, and us, and we can spread out. We can see each other. I just think I would like that, but if that doesn't work, I'm totally against having any public person in there. I don't want to take that risk. We canceled all our meetings, my group, because of this. I can't take the chance of somebody catching something and say, well, they came to our meeting and caught it. Hell no, I can't afford to take that chance. So let's stay united. We don't always agree, but I care about all 5 of you. Ernest, you're my brother.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Corrine, you're my sister. Do you love me? You should.
Yeah.
I have concluded my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Martin. Councilman Dowdy.
Yes, the remarks that I have today, the money is for the store owners is kind of high for me, but when I passed it on the safety of the people. So that will be on record, because sometimes you have to give people warnings. And then when you give them a warning, then they don't reply to the warning, then you do something differently. But I thank you for passing that, but that's my way of saying that, you know, something do need to be done for my ward too. So I will be monitoring to all the people. I will be going into the stores like I always go into the stores. I be riding around our neighborhood all the time anyway. So, and I be active, and I will be checking in. So that's giving me something else to do. And also, far as fake news, my news don't be fake, but you can look it up online and everywhere else. And far as Dr. Guy, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but the truth will come out all the time. And I feel like I have told my side of a story and you told yours. So we just sum it up until you see more, you know, because more news is coming out, regardless if you feel like it's fake news or not. But the people do need to know what actually is going on. And if you feel like it's fake news, that's your opinion, okay? But a lot of people don't feel like that. So that's what I have to say about the newspaper, of my newspaper, since you mentioned Sunrise newspaper, you know? So we do our research, believe me. And when it come out, that's how it is. So if you have a problem with it, that's on you, you know? So, and far as coming to the meetings and stuff like that, I believe that by the Zoom is on, you can see people actually can't see them, can see them, and you don't know, you know, can't really be moving around, the camera be moving around. But I do know this, that we can go into the courtroom for those who want to go into the council chamber. They can, you know, and if you don't want to, that's fine, you know. But being open to the public is for the safety for the people. I would not open it to the public, but they can do it on Zoom. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Gowdy. Councilman Tim Austin.
Greetings, Brother President and fellow council members. Contracts and property. I just want to revisit my notes from contracts and property meetings that took place on the 16th of April. To contracts, I did get a note from Steve from the finance office. He talked about his process and procedures. We're actually interested in the facts that have been led this year. So you get a little bit closer to where we need to be as far as information. We also discussed the resolution 11-20, which would give Steve Havancic Company an opportunity to do some street surveying, engineering, and design. So they
Councilman Austin, unable to hear you clearly.
Can you hear me better now?
Can you
hear me now?
I can hear you now.
She tied it to her video.
I don't really know. It's just a communication issue. But bottom line, the 16th of April, we talked about getting a list of the contracts that we hadn't seen yet, getting an opportunity to look at what's coming down the pike as well as what's already been awarded. We talked about Steve Havancic having the opportunity to be a engineer providing support for our side streets, doing some surveying, engineering design, and doing some supervision on site for the contract process so we get our streets resurfaced for our side streets. So this is a engineer support requirement outside of the engineer we already have on retainer. So more to follow. That is basically the gist of what we discussed. There is some legislation that we have been, discussing, the number of personnel in the store, but I think that we should use common sense. As our residents find themselves in a position that doesn't appear safe or a position that would support the spread of the virus, obviously you want to take action to remove yourself from that situation and let your conscience be your guide. May you all be safe, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you, good Councilman Austin. Council Vice President, Corinne Stevenson.
Okay, I want to start with the legislation possibly. There is a letter that's already ready for the new the signed legislation to be sent out to all of the gas stations and all of the apartment buildings in Ward 4. If anybody wants to use the letter, you can use it, modify it, do whatever you want to do with that. And I would like Dr. Guy, do you know how long it's going to take us to get the signed legislation ready to go out? Is one of my questions. Then there is a severe issue in Ward 4 with this trash situation and the rodents and the vermin running all over the place. Sorry about that. And I spent some time yesterday sending stuff over to the building department because people are literally collecting garbage in the back of their houses. And that has us in a situation. I sent you all some communication earlier today on that subject matter because I'm getting a lot of complaints about it, and I'm trying to get it cleaned up as swiftly as I possibly can. But I also feel like that with all of the tearing down and stuff that has gone on in the city, that the city has an obligation at this point to look at citywide extermination because we are in a situation where it seems that we've got this situation at the county health department where they come out and do a house, but that's not solving anything. That's just running them from one house to the next house and back again. So I think that we need to spend some time looking into our ordinances to see what it is that we have that can address this situation because it's going to be hot this summer, and if we don't get this trash moved, it's going to be much worse. And my other question is the street list that we're supposed to be preparing. Is there a deadline for that? And that's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. To my colleagues, Dr. Guy, Mr. Mayor, our great clerk, Dr. Guy, Mr. Mayor, Madam Law Director. I don't think he's online, but I want to thank Mr. Finance Director. Want to really thank again our IT Director, and of course our great cameraman Andrew. Because without him hooking up this technology and putting the video online and on a television station, even less people than this information get out to. It would be even less people than get out to now that would get this information. It's already, the information needs to be, well, we have to figure out a way to try to spread it more through this situation with the people not being able to come to the meetings. As Councilman Martin said, the staples in the meetings, the Otis Mazes and those type, though I know they all wondering what's going on, so we have to find a way to get information. Well, I know somebody like Otis Mays probably know how to come get information some kind of way. But so I want to thank all my colleagues for passing ordinance number 10-20. I know we all care about the people. That legislation was all about the health of the people, the safety of the people, and just to do our part. So I really want to thank you for that. I want to thank the service department during these times. They still come on call. I know that they real busy doing their everyday list that they already, the chores that they already have. So I want to thank them. I want to thank Mayor King and the administration, and also my colleagues, Councilman Austin and Vice President Corinne Stevenson, but really want to thank Mayor King and the administration, along with the Salvation Army and the Cleveland Land Bank, because I know that a lot of communities, the elected officials are not doing, not going door to door, checking on the residents, feeding the residents, things of that nature. I want to really thank all the community organizations that's out there risking their life on the streets with the people. I want to say a special prayer for not only my colleagues, our elder colleagues, Councilman Martin and Corinne Stevenson, but all the elders in the great city of East Cleveland and all around the world, and also just everybody, but especially our elders. As you know, our organization also been doing just little small deliveries, whatever we can, and I go volunteer with Mayor King and everyone. But I ask if you can do something for somebody else in this time. I'm not preaching. I'm just asking. Neighbors need help. Our elders need help. Parents. Council Martin, I go back to Council Martin. He's right. We have to be careful about, even when we serving the elders, we have to be very careful about bringing dirt and disease to their doorstep. So we have to be careful about what we do before we go out here and serve the people. So again, I know that this Zoom is not the great ideal situation. If you think about it, it's only 8:19. It's been times that in person we don't get out of meeting till after 9 o'clock. My biggest inconvenience I see is the people.
Yeah.
Especially the people of East Cleveland. You know, they don't really like to look on YouTube or look at the. So that's my main concern, is getting this information out to the people. I do know, if I know anything about my colleagues and our mayor, that's one of you all's biggest concern, is how do we, well, the mayor been doing a good job on a teleconference. Our vice president has her newsletter out. Our councilwoman has her form of newsletter out. So I really want to thank you all, because you could have just been sitting around getting paid doing nothing. And I can't say none of you have been doing, sitting around doing nothing. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the April 18th, April 21st, 2020 City of East Cleveland Council meeting.
I move that the April 21st East Cleveland City Council meeting be adjourned, Ernest Smith.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Good day. See you later.
Adjourn. Thank you.
Corinne, can you email